In our last session, we read a letter from a man who had been manipulated and controlled all his young life by his mother. Even though he hated that, he ended up married to a woman just like his mother. I suggested that as a child, he had become comfortable with a certain role, just as you might become comfortable with learning a certain musical instrument or kind of music, and that he got a lot from playing that role with his mother. As he played the dutiful son, easy to manipulate and control with praise and guilt, he received praise, conditional approval, safety, and a definite place in the world. Now, back to the writer of the letter. As you became older, you were naturally drawn to a woman who would allow you to play out the same role. Sure, part of you hated being manipulated by your mother, but a big part of you also enjoyed the rewards, the praise, the conditional approval, the safety, and the place in the world that you got from playing your role. And you played it for so long that you could literally sense, like you had an antenna tuned for it, anyone who had the same characteristics as your mother. I have a good friend who plays the flute. When he hears a symphony orchestra play with 60 to 80 instruments playing, sometimes in a rather loud jumble of noise, he can pick out the quiet part of the flute and hum it. He is so used to playing the flute that he can hear that part in the midst of everything else. So can you when it comes to your role. You need to play it. You're comfortable there. You need the rewards it brings. So you can almost smell someone who will control you or manipulate you in the familiar ways and allow you to play your role. I know it's crazy because part of you hates the role, but part of you really wants to play it, and you have to recognize that. You said that in the beginning you thought your wife was just the opposite of your mother. How could that be? How could she have fooled you so thoroughly? Easy. In the beginning, your wife gave you hundreds of clues that she was just like your mother. Little things. She probably corrected you when you didn't do what she wanted. She probably repeated herself to get what she wanted. It was your mother's game, but you wouldn't have noticed that because she simply packaged it a little differently. She was much younger than your mother. She didn't have the title of mother. She smiled at you differently. She touched you in different ways. You went out on dates. Altogether, it looked different in so many ways. But at the core, the relationship was pretty much the same. And you were fooled by the outward differences. And now that you've discovered that you were fooled, you're feeling pretty much disappointed and probably irritated too. Maybe even feeling betrayed. All understandable. But remember that your wife didn't do this intentionally. As a child, she learned a role too. And you provided her an opportunity to fill it, just as she provided you an opportunity to fill yours. There was nothing malicious in all this. It was just familiar. So, what can you do now? Let's talk about that in our next session.